Okay, so I'm trying to come back and I'm hoping it's working. Let me know if you hear me now. I don't know why this app is having this issue every time. I'm going to have to try to get it fixed so that it'll work the first time around. Next time, hopefully you guys can see and hear me. Yay! So it always works like the second time after I restart it. So maybe what I'll do next time is do like a test with, I'll just go ahead and like start it and then stop it and restart it. I don't know why we're having these issues. But anyway, thank you so much for all of you who are here. I'm going to say hello to some of you. James, Nicholas, TV Fandom, Anise, E, Luis, Ralph, who else is here? Allie, Chase, Logan. Thank you guys so much for being here. So, hi Christian, hi Skyla. So glad everyone can hear me. Namia, Daniel. So basically, two huge things happened. I didn't know. We knew that someone was going to die, and we knew that that would be played out, but I did not know if we were going to get the Gabriel identity reveal. So I think we're going to start with the death first, and I definitely want to delve into both of these things because I thought it was a really good episode, and I thought that it was hard to watch, and I thought that the death scene was epic, and I was like, whoa, like, I was literally cringing. I wish I still did those videos where I did my reactions as I watched a show. I just got into way too much trouble with YouTube with those. I know some people can do them, and they don't have an issue, but for me, always I had an issue. So Luke is bringing up a point that I wanted to talk about. Hi, Nishan. Thank you so much for being here. Joseph, I had a really good trip. Thank you so much. Luke is saying that he thinks Miller is innocent. So I feel like that is going to transpire and that is going to come to light as seasons progress. I don't know if that's going to happen the next half of the season or if that's going to happen down the road. But, I mean, yes, we did see him standing there at the payphone. They traced that payphone to the person who was calling, I think, the warden. And I just feel like, I think, honestly, that he was being sincere with Bonnie, and of course he also had the engagement ring, which she didn't know, and I think if he was just like this terrible person, if he was like playing Bonnie, I don't think in part of him, with him playing her, I don't think that's going to, like, I don't think the whole game plan was to trick her into a fake relationship and then trick her into a fake engagement and just to keep on with the trickery because he was playing her the whole time. Now, what he said about Annalise really bothered Bonnie, but let's be real here. A lot of people don't like Annalise, and if you aren't Annalise's friend, then you know that, yeah, she is a freaking shady person, and she might be kind of a toxic person, and she has a lot of her own issues, and she's an alcoholic, and, I mean, I think that I don't know if he was somehow involved or whatever. I mean, I was looking at his reaction when he got back into the car after she accused him of being involved, and he was, like, freaking out. Now, I don't know if he was freaking out because he was like, oh my God, this woman thinks I'm involved. Because I think she showed him the picture, right? Or maybe, no, maybe not. Maybe she didn't show him the picture. But anyway, like, he was freaking out, and I was thinking, you know, is he freaking out because she's making all of this up, and like he loves her, and he doesn't want her to feel this way about him, and he doesn't think she'll marry him, and he doesn't think this is going to work out? Or is he freaking out because he was involved and she's discovered it, and now what's going to happen? I'm seeing that some of the people didn't like the episode. I really felt that they weren't going to go big and they weren't going to kill someone like Frank, even though a lot of people messaged me and talked about how that was their main suspect. I just felt like we were probably going to go with the obvious here with either Miller or Gabriel, but what I didn't know was that Miller would be tied into Nate's dad. Now, I do quickly want to say that a lot of people in the chats caught on to the fact that Gabriel is Sam's son, and they were saying that it was Sam's son with someone else. I remember a couple, that sounds like Samsung, but it's not. I remember a couple of people talking about that in the chats with me before, so if you're here, let me know. And there were several people thinking it was Annalise's son with Sam, but there were specific people saying that it was Sam's son with somebody else. So props to you on that. That's something I didn't call. Okay, let's get back to the comments. Ralph says, even though Ronnie's face was destroyed, you're sure the guys from Nip Tuck could fix it. So, of course, if you watch Nip Tuck, which I feel like more and more people have not watched it as time goes on because that show was on a long time ago. However, it's a very great show if you want to binge it. It's a Ryan Murphy show. This guy, Ronald, who annoyed me quite a bit in How to Get Away with Murder, but he was a main character on Nip Tuck, although pretty an insignificant character, because he was young. Maybe, I think at the time, maybe he was like a teen or maybe in his early 20s. I'm not sure how old he is now. Let me read some of your comments, though. Louise says, you weren't disappointed because it wasn't the person, but the reasons, how, and who killed him. You thought it was good and twisty. I was into all of it. I thought it was very well executed. I thought the fact that Bonnie had to essentially murder the person she was truly in love with. She was in love with that guy. But I also think it's going to come back to haunt her that she has, like, so many freaking demons that she believed this man did something he didn't do, and then she essentially killed him, because even though Nate had beaten him pretty much to death, he was still alive, and she was the final person to seal his fate, you know. And as he is saying, Miller's fate was sealed when he said Bonnie had issues. The look on her face when he said it all. So I knew she was blowing up. I knew things were bad when she showed up to the church during the wedding, and I thought she'd already killed him, and I was like, oh my god, like, did she snap because he said she had issues and he was talking bad about Annalise? I was like, did she have like a total snap moment and just like start beating him up, or she had a gun or something? And I was going to be like, wow. I mean, the thing is, Bonnie is not stable, and we've seen her do some really messed up stuff, and I was like, did she just straight up kill him because he called her out and said she had issues, and he said he didn't trust Annalise? Because that would have been like savage and hard, and like that almost would have been really good too. But that's not how it played out. I liked how it played out. I thought that Billy Brown, who plays Nate, did like a super job, a wonderful job in his very emotional scene with Ronald when he was like, you killed my pops, and he just kept beating him. And I was like, oh my god, that was really everything. Such an emotional scene with Bonnie, Nate, and of course, poor Ronald. I think poor Ronald, unless he really did it. Joseph said, you still think Gabriel had Nate's dad killed. It's interesting Bonnie finished killing Miller with suffocation, just like she did to Rebecca. Very interesting point. Thank you for that. There are also people in the comments and people who have messaged me on Twitter who think Bonnie was this person involved in Nate's dad's death all along, which I would find, it really bothered me when she killed Rebecca, but if she is on the level of being the person who was responsible for Nate's dad's death and like what is her angle here, that will really disturb me, and I'll pretty much be done with her, because what? So they kind of did a fake out with Oliver when he went off to do the FaceTime with his dad, and I think they wanted some people to believe that he was going to be the dead person. I just really didn't think they would go there, because, oh my god, this is his wedding. Why would we do that to him? He's not a bad guy, you know? Ralph said Nate killed Ronnie like his dad killed in prison. Yeah, it was pretty much like the mirror, what do you call it? Mirror murders? I don't know. I totally get where Nate was coming from, and I'm not advocating that type of violence, but when he sincerely believed that it was Ronald and he was just, you know, crazed, like he was just like, no, like, and what happened with his dad is just heartbreaking. Okay, I'm going to read some more comments. Anise says, you're so sad for Miller because you're sure he was innocent. He probably died because he was a good guy, and this show has a horrible people-only policy. I really think, especially since he was going to propose to her and everything, I don't think he was like this devil of a person who ordered Nate's dad to be dead, basically. Now, why was he at the payphone? I'm sure there's an explanation for that. Did he have anything to do with what was going on at any point, at any level? Maybe. Is he the villain that Nate and Bonnie think he is? No. Andre says, you're kind of over the drinking issues of Annalise. Does Gabriel's appearance mean that she will get worse? So let's talk a little bit about Gabriel, and then we can always go back to Ronald. So I kind of went back and forth this season wondering, was Gabriel a villain or a person who just needed love and was trying to find his family and is a good person? But when he came to the church knowing that Annalise was drunk, I could tell his personality had shifted, and he was kind of revealing his true colors, which is villain. I thought it was interesting. Right away, I caught when she dropped her purse that he grabbed her keys, and one might think, well, he grabbed her keys because he doesn't want her driving drunk, but I felt like he had ulterior motives, which he most certainly did, and I thought he was exceptionally creepy when he was at her apartment, and just his whole demeanor was super weird. I actually did like the way that they intertwined his face with Sam's, although people have been commenting on my videos, and I'm not really sure where people are getting this impression. I know we've talked about Sam recently, but there are people who believe that I believe that Sam is alive and have said that I've said in my live chats that Sam never died and that he's never, they never killed him on the show. I'm really not sure where that's coming from, but I even had someone message me on Twitter asking me, so did Sam really die? Is Sam really dead? Like, I don't have any concern that Sam is not, like, we saw him being murdered. I don't think they are trying to bring him back to life or insinuate that he is alive or any PLL kind of nonsense. I don't think by them showing his face at the end, they're trying to say he's alive. I don't know what is going on with a lot of those comments. And, like, I never have ever questioned, like, is he still alive? Or I never believed that he is alive and that was like a fake death scene. So basically you have to look at Gabriel as coming back to avenge his father's death. And apparently I'm assuming his mom is still alive, so maybe she's playing a role in this as well. Maybe she was still in love with him. I don't know. From what I feel like, is this the woman that he was married to when Annalise was having an affair with him? That's kind of what it seems is going on. But then we also have this issue of what does the governor have on Annalise about some kind of adoption? And she was holding that over Annalise's head. Do we know what that's about? Because I think they were trying to lead all of us to believe that Gabriel was like her son, not that she had with Sam, but by like someone else that she had like as a younger person and gave him up for adoption or something. So I don't know what is up with that. Like, I don't know what that angle of the story is. So anyway, yes, I think Gabriel's a villain. Luke thinks he'll be murdered by the end of season 5. I also think Gabriel's a disposable character who will be killed off. I thought for a second maybe, for part of the season, I was like, maybe he's going to come in as a good character or something like that. But now we know that no, not really. And as Frank, the concern that Frank had is that he's here to destroy Annalise. I don't know how this is all going to play out with Michaela. If we're going to keep it on the down low that he's Sam's son, so that just like Bonnie, Frank, and Annalise know, is he going to still pursue Michaela, which I feel like is not even real, just a way to, kind of get in with the Keating 4 or whatever. I'm going to go back to more of your comments. Again, for those of you who were curious, also it was tweeted by, why can't I think of his name now? The guy that's behind this show tweeted out that Gabriel Maddox is not a fake name. It's his actual name. You could also see that on the birth certificate. You could see his mom's name was Vivian Maddox. So that is not a fake identity. Nick says, at first when the birth certificate was shown, when they showed only the top, you thought it was that Gabriel was Annalise's son. And I definitely think that's kind of what they wanted you to believe in the second half of this half season. Definitely in the first half, they wanted you to believe it was Bonnie's son. So for those of you, and I don't guess the people are in the room who called it in some of the chats earlier, but there were people who thought it was Frank's son with another woman, which is just great because that is exactly what happened. And Aria is bringing up that we still don't know who is the person that Frank continually talked to on the phone about Gabriel. We still don't know. That still hasn't been cleared up. Who is that? Louise says there could be big drama involving Sam ordering Lila's murder being disclosed to Gabriel so that he understands his father was a horrible man and it was okay for him to die so Gabriel can stay longer. I think it just depends on how big of a villain this person is. If he is a person who has possibly killed people before or whatever, maybe they're trying to say like Gabriel's a lot like his dad. If you're kind of a bad person and you find out like a relative of yours is also kind of a bad person, you may not really give a crap, honestly. You might just be like, whatever. So that, I don't know who we're dealing with here, but I feel like we kind of had a reveal of his personality in the church and then definitely at the end in the apartment that he just seemed really sinister and it didn't seem like he had any good intentions. And I don't know if he's the kind of person who you can talk some sense into and be like, because at the end of the day, they murdered his dad. Regardless of what drama was going on with him, what was he murdered for, because they thought he killed Lila, which he didn't. So, he is, even though he wasn't a good person, did he deserve to be murdered? Did Sam deserve to be murdered? I mean, that's going way back to season 1. But again, wasn't Wes the one who killed him essentially with the trophy? So you also have that aspect, and that may explain his obsession with Wes. I don't know if we're going to go further, if he's going to, harass Laurel or whatever because she's the mother of Wes's kid. I don't know, but I could see this going a lot of different ways, and I think that this half season was really good. I think it's one of the better ones that they've done, even though I know some of you had hoped they were going to kill off someone bigger in this episode. I think it's totally okay. Adam doesn't think Miller did it at all. I agree with you. Nicholas said Frank and Gabriel could destroy Annalise, but how? Why wait so long to out her on the involvement with his dad's death if he had information? Hannah will probably make her way back to trying to get back into the show, get back into this, right? He's going to try to expose probably, I was going to call her like some name from another show, probably Annalise and the rest of the Keating group. Like, I think he just kind of wants to destroy all of them, and I think that he wants to take down Annalise, and he just wants to avenge his father's death. Now, is any of that going to happen? No, I sincerely doubt it, but that's going to be the drama he's going to bring to the next half of the season. And that's, like, I feel like, as someone else stated, that by the end of by spring and the finale, he's going to be dead, because he's going to have to be stopped, because we can't have this type of drama. We can't have this, Louise said, why did Gabriel wait till the wedding, though? He could have shown up to Annalise's place before. I don't know. I think it was just to go along with the dramatic feel of someone being killed at the wedding. He didn't know anybody was going to die at the wedding, but I'm just saying the show wanted to, they wanted to make all of this stuff going on at the wedding super dramatic, so why not have Gabriel take her keys at the wedding and have all this drama going on with her at the apartment during the wedding. What shocked me about the finale, I would say the biggest shocker to me was the fact that Miller was accused of being involved in Nate's dad's death. I did not put that together. I definitely had thought of him a million times as the victim, and I definitely never trusted him, so I felt like he would be played out as a bad person, as a villain here. And I'm also kind of surprised that even though he was our dead person, it's probably he's probably actually not a terrible person. So I think that comes into play too. I think it is sad that they have written another sad storyline for Bonnie. She really can't catch a break. This was a guy that I think she really loved, and I think really loved her, and that's over. So it's like, man, she has a lot of bad luck. Skyla says you like Gabriel, though. He's so fine. You don't want him to die, but he's bad. Right. I've said that since he first appeared at the end of last season. He's just a beautiful person. But I also think beautiful people make the best bad people, and because so many people want to trust them. I mean, you see how Michaela is with him. She's like, oh my God, he looks so good. It's a lot easier for a very good-looking person to swindle and connive people and get them to trust them than someone that's like, that outright looks like a murderer, So he's able to succeed in life. Plus, he's a smart person, He's very smart. So he's able to get everything he wants in life and also trick people and whatever else because he looks good, he's smooth, and he's smart. I do feel really bad for Nate. I agree with you. Was I shocked by Gabriel's identity? Yes. I wasn't totally blown out of the water, only because people had discussed this same theory about him being Sam's kid in the chat. So I think I just wasn't like, whoa, I wasn't like, wow, that's a new thought, because actually some of you guys had thought of it. Luke enjoyed Oliver's singing, and I agree. I thought it was really cool. I didn't know that he sang. I thought it was cool. I think his real name is Conrad, right? I didn't know if this actor actually sings, does he sing outside of the show, or was that something new? I don't know. Or is that something he just decided to do? Hold on just a second. Let's read some more. S. Wilson says, you wonder if we'll ever get backstory about Annalise's former students. Weren't there other students along with Frank and Bonnie? How did they escape the inner circle? That would be so cool, actually, to go back and find out, like, where are the other people? Are they dead? Like, what has happened to them, So Skyla is wondering if Annalise tried to adopt Gabriel. So that's the piece of the puzzle we don't know. Like, what's the governor holding over her head? What do they mean by adoption? I don't know. Did she try to adopt him? I really don't know what's up with that. Adam says, you don't think Oliver's character fits in with the show at all? You don't think he's a strong actor as everyone else on the show? Well, I think his character is really sweet. And when I used to think that he was actually a killer, I would make some theory videos about how he was a villain, because he just seems like too nice and everything. And people really, really like his character. Like, people came for me. Like, they were so mad at me that I made a video basically only saying I thought he was, you know, like maybe a bad guy. People accused me of all kinds of terrible things. They said I was being racist and everything, and I'm just like, I've never, I mean, there were so many hate comments. It was just like so ridiculous because, one, this is a show, hello, and just because I think someone is a villain, it doesn't like make me racist. Like, I don't care if he was, you know, purple. Like, I have no, I don't see that. I see people. But I was like, I always thought he was kind of shady, but it was just like, this is so stupid. So whatever. Luke says, for the first time in this show, the Keating Four were not involved in the mystery, which I think is okay. I mean, honestly, I don't like throwaway dead people, throwaway victims, but I like the way that they explained, I like the way they worked out Miller's death and accused him of doing something. I think it's way more effective than if he was murdered because Bonnie snapped because he was kind of like criticizing her and Annalise. Ralph says Ronnie works for the mayor, plus 2 episodes prior he gave the speech to Nate about not rocking the boat. He had something to do with Nate's dad, definitely. And that's what I feel like. I don't feel like maybe he was the #1 guy who called the shots about him dying, but I think when you saw him get back in the car after he got accused of that by Bonnie, he had like this look like, oh my God, I got caught, or like, oh my God, how did she find out? But I still do not think it was at the level that they think it is, or at the level where he deserved to be beaten to death and suffocated. Louise says, you guys, Annalise was trying to force Gabriel's mom to give him up for adoption so that he would disappear from the picture and it'd be easier for Sam to pick Annalise over Gabriel's mom. So yeah, is that what was going on? Because no wonder this guy is angry. I mean, first of all, his dad left his mom for this woman, was, at the time was, you know, that if that was going down, that's terrible. And secondly, they murdered his dad. And I feel like, yeah, he probably knows that they murdered his dad. He probably has some kind of evidence or something, and he wants to take them down. Nicholas says, why did a picture of Miller at a payphone prove that Miller called the order on Nate's dad's murder? You probably missed it, but sure that I know. Because when Michaela was doing her research, she found out that there was a call made to the warden right before, I think I'm getting this correct, like right before Nate's dad was murdered, and they traced the call to a certain payphone, and they had, I guess, like surveillance video or whatever at the same time at that payphone, and at that same time that this was going down, Miller was making a call at the payphone. But if you remember, his excuse was really bad. Let's think about that. Like, his excuse was something about waiting on takeout. And, I mean, what? Like, first of all, I didn't even know that payphones were still around. I mean, do you guys still have payphones in the U.S. where you live? Because I don't ever see them. Secondly, if you're having takeout, you have a cell phone, or everyone uses, like, Uber Eats and all of that stuff. So, to me, the whole payphone thing is very 80s and 90s-ish, and kind of like, I'm not feeling that too much because it's really not used. Payphones really aren't used. If we were back, like, in not only the payphone issue, but his excuse that he was, like, calling for takeout, I'm sorry, what? Because then we got to be like, okay, so what happened to your cell phone? Like, none of this is making sense to me. So I'm feeling like his excuse was so lame, if you think about that. He has to be involved in some way. And then, even though his excuse is lame, why was he at a payphone? Why was he using a payphone? I don't care what he was using a payphone for. Who uses a payphone? You'd only use a payphone to be super shady. So really and truly, they should have had it go down on a burner phone or something, but I guess they couldn't figure out how to get surveillance video of him on the I mean, it would have been better if they could have traced it to a burner phone and you found out the burner phone was his somehow. So Mean says that he said his phone was dead, but let's be real, for all of those of you who live in the U.S., I mean, and I've traveled to way bigger cities than I live in, I don't see payphones hardly ever. I did see some in the Honolulu airport, but the airport has not been, like, there hasn't been construction on it since, like, the 70s, so that's why. But random payphones on the street, do you guys really believe he was using a payphone because his phone died and he was calling for takeout and all of that? That is such a lie, okay? Now Adam is thinking maybe he was framed, which I could go with that, but I'm still having an issue. He was framed, but he was ordering takeout on a payphone. I'm still not buying into any of that. Ralph says, remember you said that Bonnie was keeping an eye, that Ronnie was keeping an eye on Bonnie, and it makes sense now because the mayor probably had him keeping an eye on Annalise and Bonnie. I'm with you on that. Also, I always thought that Ronnie Miller was connected to our old DA Denver. I think they were probably friends or something. Remember, they were both around at the same time, and we know that Denver was extremely shady and a really bad dude. So I always thought, you know, never to trust Miller. I knew him being friends with him. It just wasn't good. But I agree with Aria, who says you think Miller played a part, but you're sure he loved Bonnie. I feel that way. I do feel that way. I don't think all of that was an act. Vicky says you think he was lying, but you highly doubt he knew about the father dying. I think that, yes, he had a role in it. I think what's going to really hurt Nate and Bonnie is when they come back and find out what type of role he had and that he didn't have the type of role that they think. Luke is asking who took the picture. I was assuming that it came from a surveillance camera, but if we're going to say someone used their cell phone to take that picture, then that further makes this whole thing stupid. And why and who was it? So I was hoping that that just came from like surveillance cameras, but I don't know. Hi, Larissa. Thank you so much for being here. Larissa says it was shown on Denver's campaign website in season 3 that Miller donated to his attorney general campaign. So again, they're in cahoots, okay? Scream Queens reference right there. Those two were in cahoots. Bye, Christian. Thanks for being here. The person named Eat Me on here says how convenient it is that somebody took the picture of Miller making a call to the warden. You don't think this is it. So could we have had it photoshopped? I mean, I don't know where this photo came from. I thought that basically Nate was able to trace it to a surveillance camera. Now, if not, where did he get the photo? And I don't know, but you know, Miller admitted to being on that payphone. He was bumbling around and making excuses and something about waiting on takeout again, because you guys said his phone died. None of that makes, like, here's the thing, like, if you were dating someone and they got, I don't even know how to explain this, but it's just like if someone gave you some crazy excuse that they had to use a payphone, like in this day and time, like they were using a payphone because they needed to order takeout because their phone died. I don't care what the circumstances are. Like, let's just say no one was murdered or anything like that. But if someone straight up tells me like, hey, I was late to this because I needed to use a payphone because my phone died and I was calling to order takeout, I would seriously say, you know what, that they're not telling me the truth. Whatever, no one died, so I'm not going to worry about it. But the first time I hear someone saying they had to stop to use a payphone, I've already lost it there, because like, where did you find a payphone? Is this 1995? 1995 wants the storyline back. Like, we still haven't addressed Laurel's mom. Laurel's mom is definitely dead. We didn't come back to that. I do think we'll come back to that in the second half of this season. I definitely think Laurel murdered her. We have not come back to it. It's okay. They really didn't need to include it in this episode because there was so much other stuff going on. But it just makes me laugh. I mean, last night I didn't put 2 and 2 together that the payphone shouldn't have been used. I think there was a smarter show than this. But now that I'm thinking about it, the whole payphone thing has really bothered me. And the whole takeout thing, because come on guys, like, I use all the food apps. I don't know. I mean, especially in the U.S., they're huge. So how many people, I know you can still call restaurants and do that whole thing for takeout and whatever, but why wouldn't you just use the food apps? I'm so confused here. Yes, there are surveillance cameras everywhere, so I'm hoping that the way they got that photo was from a surveillance camera, and we don't have another random person who is involved who actually took a photo of this payphone incident. Skyla says, you think Miller said his phone died while he was waiting for his takeout and then made the call. Did he say who he was calling? Because didn't he call the governor? Or, I mean, didn't he call the warden from that payphone? Did he admit to calling the warden? Because then why? Or did we get that far? Because I know he was making like a lot of excuses. Eat Me says, Miller's eyes were pure and honest. You don't believe the producers will make this whole situation look this easy and put it on Miller. It's too forced. You think there's more to it. I mean, I think he's involved in some way. I think if you totally believe him, then I think this payphone argument that we've just gone over will show you there's something not right about the story. I just don't believe all of that. And I hope, actually, that he's in some way involved, because I don't like this whole payphone storyline, and I'm hoping that's not like supposed to be taken at face value. But I can definitely see, as Larissa is saying, that Miller got played by the governor. I could definitely see that. So apparently he said he called the warden to check on Nate Sr. And I just feel like this is just getting more weird. And I'm really having a hard time believing any of that. None of that makes sense to me. I'm really having a hard time with using the payphone, with the takeout story, with calling from the payphone. And Toby says poor Bonnie. And I do agree, because it's just been so, everything in her life has been a struggle. Everything. And I mean, she met someone who I really think she would have gotten engaged to him and everything. Maybe if she didn't think he was involved in Nate's dad's death, yes. I don't know, though, after that argument they had, could she get past that? I don't know. Ralph said, this is funny, Ralph. Miller ordered Uber Beats. Nate delivered. Well, he ordered Uber Beats for the poor Nate Sr. Oh, my God. That was so terrible. But everyone knows Uber Eats, you don't even need a phone. You just, you need a phone, but you don't need to talk to anyone. It's all like on the app. It's just funny. Gregory says, you read a theory that the person who made sure Nate Sr. was whacked was Bonnie, and she let Miller be killed in order to cover herself up. I've been getting a lot of comments with the same thing. I've been getting tweets about that, direct messages, comments on here. People think Bonnie is the one behind all of this. Okay. First of all, and I've said this before, but that really bothers me, because I know Bonnie has issues, and I know she's not like the greatest person in the world, but is she that evil? Because that's evil. And then second, what's the angle here? Like, what's her motivation? Like, why would she want his dad dead? And, I'm sorry, my nose always itches when I do these things. But, like, why? What's the point? Like, why? Why does she want him dead? Or does she owe someone a favor? Or is she in with the governor? I don't know. I don't know, but that's bothering me, because if that's the case, like, she wasn't in on this with Ronald because he was shocked that she knew something about it. So it's like, is she that evil? Like, what the heck? Like, why would she want this man dead? I don't know. Nick says, now that you realize that this is sort of the third person who has played Michaela, first Levi, well, kind of, then Caleb, and now Gabriel. Poor Michaela, she falls for everyone. I don't know how poor Michaela we can say she is after what happened with the guy from Pakistan last season. But yeah, she has a really hard time in the love department too, and my nose is really, 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 really itching. I'm so sorry. Hilda says this is going to bite Annalise in the ass again, because they will find Miller's body, and you don't know if Nate will get away with it. Yeah. I don't think Nate is doing anything sinister or whatever, but I just think, he reacted because of the information he heard, and he was like, really emotional, and he just wanted him dead, and I get that. Ralph says Bonnie is very cold and robot-like. She is. She's like Westworld-ish, right? Louise says if Bonnie had Nate Sr. killed and murdered Miller, she's worse than Sam and Jorge. Yeah, I just don't understand, like, why would she need to do all of this? Like, I mean, I'm sure they have an explanation if that's what went down, but that's really craziness. Gregory says the motivation you heard for her whacking is revenge against Nate. But what does she want revenge against Nate for? Because I've totally forgotten now. Right, I agree that I think we were dealing with host Bonnie, aka from Westworld, because this week's episode, last night's episode, she was very strange. She was very off. I think she was her host self, or Mutt and Jeff made her, because Mutt and Jeff are from American Horror Story. Right, something was just not right with her. Skyla says you think Nate will turn himself in if Miller is innocent. Arya says Bonnie will never hurt Annalise, and it doesn't make sense, as if she did play a part in Nate Sr.'s death, it caused Annalise's addiction, so you doubt she would do that. I don't see it. I don't see her doing this. I don't want her to be the one doing this. I don't want her to be that terrible of a person. Tegan wasn't in the finale, as Joseph is saying. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't really trust her either. Ralph is saying I'm back on the... I have to take the jingle jangle before these chats, because basically I need my energy. Like, I have to be, like, energetic for you guys. But unfortunately, the side effects... Not only is my nose itching, my whole face is itching. So basically, that's what it is. I can't stop. Because you wouldn't want me to come on here talking to you and being, like, really sleepy and stuff. Like, I need the boost. This is so awful. It's a joke, guys. Jingle Jangle's not real. I have to let you know that that's fake, in case you didn't know, before people start accusing me of that as well. Anyway. And he says Frank might be talking to Sam's sister on the phone. That's true. Maybe. Gregory said the revenge is for Nate investigating Bonnie's past. I mean, still, I find this like really terrible and horrible. I hope that's not what happened, right? Anyway, I really did like this episode, and I like this half season, and I'm excited for the next half season, and I think this show is kind of back on a good track after being kind of in some weird places for a while. Louise says, we also don't know if Annalise got her job back, but who cares, right? We haven't even had time to think about that. But also something that I thought might happen didn't happen, and that was nobody was trying to kidnap Christopher, so I feel good about that. The guy, or whoever's on here called Eat Me, says, you find the picture of Miller making the phone call very sketchy. Must have been more people involved, perhaps Gabriel. Oh my God, my nose. Yes. Jingle jangle. Skyla's at Chick-fil-A and you're ordering while listening, but you're so distracted with the stream. Chick-fil-A, it's so good. Oh, help. I'm going to have to let you guys go because literally my nose won't quit itching and I don't know what to do. And there's a pile of jingle jangle over there that needs my attention. Ralph says, you think when the show gets back, Tegan will probably be wrapped up in the Annalise drinking storyline. I am very tired of the Annalise drinking storyline. You also think Tegan is in love with her. Could also see that. We need to move on with the Annalise drinking saga. It usually comes back, right, middle of January or February, right? Gregory finds Miller being the dead person really predictable. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Definitely very predictable. But I do like the angle of him being involved in Nate Sr.'s death, and I thought that was good. Louise says, you feel like Miller being innocent is going to lead to a domino effect that could expose everything, especially if they're bringing back Sam. And when we say we're bringing back Sam, unfortunately, I have to clarify that he's not alive. No one thinks he's still alive, but they're just like bringing back what happened with his death and everything. Because I don't know why people think, why do people think that I think the man's alive? I feel like, you know, I know the show has had some off moments, but like they're not that low. Like they don't kill people off and then they're like, hey, guess what? Like, he's really alive. Like, he died like 7 years ago, but he's really alive. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you so much for being here for all of this half season. Remember, you don't have to leave my channel. You can stay subscribed because it's coming back after Christmas break, you know? So, I really appreciate all your support and all these really, really fun chats. They're so much fun. I'm sorry that my nose won't quit itching. I'm sorry I have a habit. But anyway, again, it's just a joke. Hope you guys are doing great, and I'll try to do some stuff before the end of the year. I don't want to just like disappear until January because I'll miss you guys too much. So I'll have to figure out what I can do, or I think Black Mirror is supposed to come back like pretty soon, so I can do some videos on that and maybe some other things. But anyway, I won't see you maybe for a little while, so stay with me. Follow me on social media. I'll still be here. If you want to comment on old stuff, I'll come back and reply. And I'll also comment on this video and yesterday's video. But anyway, thank you so much. Have a great evening or whatever time it is there. Probably really late evening or early morning or evening. And I will see you guys soon.